Daideo, back today with a new story. This story is for first class, so it's about 6 years old. It's a very short story. We'll go through it first for pronunciation and we'll come back and go through it for meaning. So the title of the story is Daideo. Ayado an raibh tusa óg uair amháin. Bhí mé a stór. An raibh telefís agaibh nuair a bhí tú óg. Ní raibh a stór. Ach, duine me yadó scéalta deasa don. An raibh scoil bit ann nuair a bhí tusa óg. Bhí a stór. Thug do bhaimí scoil sa char tú nuair a bhí tú óg. Níor thug a stór. Tháinig daddy na nullag thugat nuair a bhí tú óg. Ó tháinig a stór. Tháinig sé thugam le cumáin agus sliotar. An raibh tusa suna sásta nuair a bhí tú óg. Bhí a stór. Ach tá mé níos sásta anois mar go bhfuil tusa agam a stór. Sin there an scale, so that's the end of the story, so let's go back up and go through it now. So it's a nice little short story. So Daideo is grandfather essentially. So here we have Ayado. So it's using the, because he's talking directly to him, he's using the vocative case, so it starts with a always. So Ayado, and you have the genitive form of Daideo, which in this case has a H. An raibh tusa, were you, and you here is emphasized, were you óg, young, uair amháin. Literally time one time. Were you óg, were you young once? Bhí mé a stór. So I was a stór. Stór is just kind of like darling or treasure essentially. And again it's using the vocative here, a stór. We don't have a H here in the way we do here, because it's ST and you can never put a H between them. And here in his answer, so we have an raibh, so the answer bhí mé. You don't need the may, you can also just say bhí a stór. That's totally fine. So then he goes to another question here, an raibh telefís agaibh. So telefís is television, an raibh, so that's our was a television agaibh at you plural. So was a television at you? Did you plural have a television? Nuair a bhí tú óg, when you were young. Nura is always kind of when. And the answer here, ní raibh a stór. You could say ní rá or ní raibh. Ach, duine me yadó scéalta deasa don. So but, and this is the past tense of the verb inis, so told my grandfather. So my grandfather told. Scéalta deasa, so nice story, so scéal is story. We have deasa in the plural form here. Scéalta deasa to me. So, but told my dad stories nice to me. Nice stories to me. And again here we're using the D for the past because this verb starts with a vowel. And we go to another question. An raibh scoil bit ann. So was school bit is kind of like, was there any school? Was school at all essentially? Ann there. So was there any school there? Nuair a bhí tusa óg, again, nuair a bhí when you were young. Let me just check the previous page here. So here we have nuair a bhí tú óg, when you were young. Nuair a bhí tusa óg. So it's just the same thing, it's just kind of emphasizing when you were young. Bhí a stór. So now if we just compare this to the previous page, here he said bhí mé a stór, which is fine, but more normal would just be to answer with the verb. So he said here, an raibh scoil bit ann, answer bhí. And a new question, ceist nua. Thug do bhaimí scoil sa char tú nuair a bhí tú óg. So we know this part already, nuair a bhí tú óg, when you were young. Thug, so hug means gave, or you can also mean bring, in this case it means bring. So this is the question participle for the past, so basically, did your mother bring? It really essentially would be kind of like brought your mother to school. Sachar, in the car, you brought your mother on school, in the car, you, when you were young. That's kind of a direct translation. Hug, do wami, school, sachar, tu, nervi tu og. So we have a H here in wami because it's after d. M, d, or a, the three possessive adjectives, they will take shevu. Here we have a H in char because it's after sa, in the. So any word after sa will have a H. And we have a H in the verb because it's in the past. Near hug a store. So this is just the answer. The question was hug. So the answer could only be hug or near hug. Hánig daddy na nullig hugat nura v2o. So again, nura v2o, we know that. Hánig, so came. We know this means came, and this is the question for the past. So we know it's a question about came. Came daddy na nullig, father of Christmas. Father of the Christmas, really. Hugat. So this is a mixture of huig, which is to, and to, which is you. So to you, hugat. Same way you have agat or or lat. Here's hugat. Hánig a store. So again, the answer can only be two things. Hánig, the answer can only be hánig or near hánig. And this has a H because it's in the past, just like hug does over here on the left. Let me just go back here, for example. This word here, hugat, I think might be one of the few examples of a word that always has a H. It's very rare actually in Irish. I think it's hug, I think it always has a H. Hánig sé hugam le cumann agus sliotar. So came he to me. So on the previous page we have hugat to you. Now we have hugam to me. Le cumann, which is this stick that we play imaniac with, or camogie. Agus sliotar, which is the name of the ball. It's the Irish sports. Ceis nua. On rev to sunna sásta nuair a bhí tú óg. So on rev to, were you? Sunna sásta is just happily content. Were you happily content nuair a bhí tú óg? Bhí is door. I was, treasure. Ach tá mé níos sásta anois mar go bhfuil tusa agam a store. Okay, but I am tá mé níos sásta. So sásta is satisfied. Níos sásta, more satisfied. Anois, now. So but I am more satisfied now. Mar, so as. Go bhfuil tusa agam, as that you are at me, because you're at me, because I have you a store. Now, to be honest, it's a little bit strange now. I would always follow mar with tá instead of go will, but here it's being used as a relative clause, so mar go will tusa agam a store. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that story. It's a little short one, and I'll have another one up on the site soon. Best of luck.